Hey everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here, another edition of Off the Top Rope. So, I didn't watch Collision, but paying attention to the internet, some stuff happened. A couple of matches were added to Double or Nothing, either 0 Hour or the live show. Both there was a trios match and a tag match. So trios matches with the men, and the tag matches for the women. And both these matches don't belong on pay-per-view. One of them is actually going to be on the 0 Hour show. The women's match, predictably, because, AEW, despite what they want to tell you, doesn't give a shit about women's wrestling. But I have a point here. And I know AEW people are just going to come after me saying, Mike, you're just finding new ways to hate on AEW. Guys, let's look at the facts here. It's about two people involved in these matches. One is Kyle Fletcher, and the other one is Megan Bayne. Let's start with Megan Bayne for a second. So Megan Bayne, literally came in, start of the year, kind of like a house of fire. She pinned the women's world champion Toni Storm, had a match on the Bayne pay-per-view show for the women's world championship. Did not win, which was predictable. Hasn't even sniffed even close to the world title scene. She wasn't even in the Owen. Not even in the Owen. She's been running around with Penelope Ford for whatever reason. They're interacting with Harley Cameron and Anna Jay, which is admittedly Harley Cameron's just a ton of fun. Great to see Anna Jay back. But that's your tag match on the pay-per-view, not even on the main card. You mean to tell me that Megan Bayne, who was presented like a destroyer of this women's division, a credible threat potentially to challenge for the Women's World Championship, just loses on a roll-up to Toni Storm, immediately to the back of the line, can't even make it on Double or Nothing. That's supposed to be one of the new stars that you're supposed to book as the face of your women's division, but we're so focused on trying to get Mercedes Moné to the main event or one of the top matches of All In. Okay, fine. And then there's Kyle Fletcher, who everybody's trying to make up that he's like this Randy Orton clone and, young prospect from Australia, really talented wrestler, really been presented very strongly in the Don Callis family. But in every high-profile situation, this guy has lost. He was in a semifinal match for the Continental Classic, lost that. He beat Will Ospreay, one of the very few people to beat Will Ospreay in AEW. Big-time steel cage match at Revolution, lost. Semifinal match in the Owen Hart Cup tournament, lost to Hangman Adam Page. And the best that we can do with him is, hey, we're going to put him in a trios match with the Don Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita, who, by the way, it's ridiculous that guy can't get pushed, and Josh Alexander, who's been there for like a cup of coffee and is already blending in with the furniture. They're taking on the Paragon. By the way, Adam Cole, do you guys remember? Hey, Adam Cole's the TNT champion. You wouldn't know, even though I think Adam Cole is one of the great professional wrestlers who's just been bitten by injury, but we've been given zero reason to care since he won the title. He's been on commentary more than he's defended it. And so that's another 6-man tag, a trios match that's going to be on the pay-per-view. And I could get into Adam Cole for a second, but Adam Cole is, we're still trying to figure out what his title is. But clearly what this is setting up for is Kyle Fletcher challenging Adam Cole for the TNT championship. And I would expect at some point Kyle Fletcher would probably win. And or at least he should win. But with Tony Khan, who the fuck knows? This guy can't push a young talent to save his fucking life. Like, look at the two examples that I gave you. Megan Bayne was presented as almost an equal to Toni Storm and was kicking the shit out of her and pinned her. Had a match on at the last pay-per-view 6 weeks ago. Can't even get on the main show for Double or Nothing, which is a horrendously booked show. Kyle Fletcher was literally one win away from being in this match and facing Will Ospreay again for a shot to go for the world title, which we knew he wasn't going to get. Kyle Fletcher has been pushed to at least certain levels, but he hasn't gotten the big win yet. And at some point, you're just going to run out of reasons to care about this guy, even as talented as he is. And he's getting thrown in a random 6-man on this show? You mean to tell me you don't have a better reason? Like, you could also you could also have Adam Cole defend the title, but hey, maybe they just want to let this storyline or whatever it is microwave a little bit so they can get to a point where maybe that's your match at All In. Separate of this, since Christian lost the TNT title, Adam Copeland had a decent little run before he got hurt and foolishly broke his foot. the TNT title has been horrendously booked for a long time. I would say you could honestly go back to when Cody Rhodes had it. Was really like the last real time that there was a really good TNT champion, because Wardlow was not a good TNT champion. Christian was fun, but it was kind of like a gimmick. Like he ran around with the TNT championship, even though he wasn't it, and then he won it. But yeah, that TNT title is a joke. So hey, that's your consolation prize for Kyle Fletcher? Really? That's really your consolation prize? Adam Cole, a heatless Adam Cole, who I think, like, when he wasn't injured, is as good as anybody. But this guy's been snake bitten by injuries in his entire run in AEW. It's just like, it's laughable to me. And everybody talks about restoring the feeling and how there's new faith and like they're trying to, energize the product. Yet you have two stars that in some way you've kind of at least tried to build up, but they're always these stop-start pushes where you've got a situation where, okay, both these people, tremendously talented, you're throwing them into random tag matches on your staple show. This is the big problem that I've had with Double or Nothing. There could have been so much better booking to get to these matches rather than 3-4 days before the pay-per-view. You're just announcing random tags. One of them's going to be on the show. The other one's not. And while we're at it, man, one women's match on this show, on the main show, one. That's it. Or actually, two. Actually, I'm sorry, 2 women's matches. Okay, so because you gave Toni Storm, Mia Shirakawa, and then obviously Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné. But it's like really limited build in these and not a lot of investment. That's the bigger issue here. But it's just, and then you just throw together like the last women's world title challenger can't even get into the tournament. She's just thrown into just beating up a bunch of geek women who are like, not her equal, and we're supposed to care. And then with Kyle Fletcher, this guy's supposed to be like one of the futures of your promotion. Every single big match that he has had, he hasn't won. And the best you have for him, hey, let's just throw the Don Callis family against another 3-man group. This company is incapable of sticking with momentum with some of the younger stars. It's one of the biggest issues, like outside of MJF, and I guess you could say to some degree Darby Allin, out of the 4 pillars, that's really it. That's really their inability to stick with young talent or stick with people that have momentum. Wardlow, another missed opportunity. They just cannot capitalize on momentum. Like Kyle Fletcher probably should have won the Continental Classic. He probably should have. But we saw what the goal of that was. It was just to get Kazuchika Okada a win and just get the confrontation with Kenny Omega, because we're just basically window dressing until we get to Texas and that match happens. Which, to be honest with you, the average fan isn't going to give a shit about. Like the wrestling geeks and the sickos that love this shit will give a crap about it, because Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada have had some of the great wrestling matches of all time. But this is going to be like the 6th or 7th time they faced each other. So yeah, Kyle Fletcher, that was a better opportunity to put him over in some capacity, but whatever. And then, like I said, you bring in Megan Bayne, you actually finally have a credible women's threat that you can potentially present as a reason to give us a carrot and actually a challenger post Mariah May in terms of the women's division. Just lost to Toni Storm. And, hey, like literally Mina Shirakawa shows up 2 weeks in. Hey, world title match. Cool. Nobody has any momentum because all these people just get these stop-start pushes and there's no reason to care. And then you put them in these random schmaz matches that mean absolutely nothing. Admittedly, Kyle Fletcher's probably going to get the winning pin in this match. He should. He should probably pin Adam Cole, or at least pin Kyle O'Reilly or Roderick Strong, and you can move forward. But again, what's that going to mean? And then if he wins the TNT title, what's next? That's it? That's it? Really? A title that hasn't meant anything in 3 years, at least? It really hasn't meant much of anything outside of since Cody Rhodes left and he dropped that title in his last match. Since Cody Rhodes left 3 years ago, that outside of Christian Cage, that title's meant jack shit. It's meant jack shit to anybody. So, I don't, like, sickos, come at me in the comments, tell me I'm a hater, whatever. But if you're just an average fan, be honest with yourself. When you're talking about, like, people that have been brought in, given momentum, and then immediately just lose. That's not how you're going to build stars. Vince McMahon had this same problem where for the longest time during the John Cena days, nobody could get over because all the people that were presented and put into a position to succeed, at least alongside John Cena, very few of them, like a Randy Orton, maybe a CM Punk, very few people had the opportunity to jump out because they never let anybody else win. They didn't. So this is the same issues, and you guys keep snickering at me and acting like this is not a problem. This is a huge problem. And like I like Kyle Fletcher. I think there's a lot of ability and potential there. They just they never let this guy win. They put him in impossible situations. Megan Bayne walks in, looks great, but I knew that this was going to happen. They did the same thing with Camille. At least they gave Megan Bayne a women's championship match before she fell into obscurity, but it's malpractice. This is not going to help you get people, outside people to care. The sickos don't matter. They don't matter. Those people are going to like whatever gets put on the screen, but you're not going to grow and become more improved as a business if you don't have new stars and new characters to invest in. And when they keep losing in big time spots, nobody's going to give a shit. And then you put them in these random matches on a pay-per-view that has zero build and zero buzz around it. All the sickos can tell me, hey, hey, these matches are going to be really good. They might be. There's no build to them. So anyway, that's how I feel. Just really wacky shit going on in that place. And this is just a lackluster and really just poorly put together pay-per-view card on Sunday. I'm only, to be honest with you, I only really care about the main event. Anarchy in the Arena should probably be a fun little party match where people are going to do a bunch of crazy shit. Rest of this, it's a dynamite. It's a collision. And then some of your young up-and-coming stars that have been presented at least semi-okay, you stop their momentum and you just throw them into these random tag matches. Why am I supposed to care? Anyway, thanks so much for watching, everybody. A lot more coming over here on the channel. Busy weekend. NBA playoffs. Obviously wrestling all over the place, and we may get an answer about what's happening with WrestleMania. Just a wild day in the world of professional wrestling. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.